Welcome, I'm Mr. Burton, ibbusinessandmanagement.com. This is a video that's running you through the IB Business and Management course. Today we're looking at the external environment. This is topic 5 within business organisation and environment. Okay, 1.5, the external environment. Glad to have you with us. Hope you learned something today. And we're going to start with the external environment. Now, in the pursuit of achieving the aims and objectives, businesses often face challenges from both within and outside their organisation. Internal and external opportunities and threats will affect the firm's performance. Understanding these factors can facilitate effective decision making. Now we're going to start with the external environment, and external factors are those issues which either restrict or aid the performance of the business but are beyond its control. It's got no control of it. They're outside the business. So they're factors that affect all businesses in the economy. We've got political factors, so government legislation such as employment law, consumer protection rights, copyright and trademark regulations. Now, government legislation define the boundaries within which businesses can operate. Government interventions such as taxation and interest rate policies also affect the political and economic stability of a country. So political factors are the first of the external environment factors that we need to be aware of. Economic factors. This is the state of the economy in which businesses operate, and it's determined by 4 key variables. You need to know them all, how they operate, how they impact on businesses. We've got inflation, unemployment, economic growth, and international trade. And in addition, consumer and business confidence levels also affect the level of economic activity. The actions and activities of rival firms can also constrain the performance of a particular business. We've got social factors. Now, social, cultural, and demographic changes can also present opportunities and threats to a business. So, for example, with a more liberal and modern attitude towards women in society, firms have benefited from having a more flexible labour force. Multiculturalism has also led to a boom in the trade of cultural exports, whereas pressure for firms to be more environmentally friendly has led to a change in business behaviour. And the last one that we need to be aware of is technological factors. Now, advances in technology and work processes have improved the efficiency of businesses. At the same time, the high cost of staying up to date with technological progress can hinder the performance of a business. Now, external factors that can harm business, such as economic recession, oil crisis, or high inflation, are seen as threats. And that's why we use the acronym Pest. Now, you might see the acronym rewritten as STEEPLE, S-T-E-E-P-L-E, which is social, technological, economic, environmental, political, legal, and ethical. We don't have to worry too much about that. Environmental will come under the social factors here in the Pest analysis, and legal will come under political, ethical will come under social, and sometimes we'll see legal factors as well, but here we just classify those under the broad category of political, external, environmental factors. And pest analysis, one of the core tools businesses will use to analyse their position, where they are now, what impacts the external environment is going to be having on them. So we're looking at political, economic, social and technological factors. And we've got some examples here. Political, we've got environmental regulations, tax policies, international trade regulations, labour laws, competition regulation, how stable the political environment is. Consumer protection laws are another big one. If the government comes up with a new consumer protection law, then it's going to have a big impact for businesses providing anything within that scope. Economic factors, economic growth. If economic growth is booming and businesses are likely to be doing well, demand will be picking up and they could well be looking to expand their sales. Interest rates and monetary policies, big effect on the economic environment. How much governments are spending, how much governments are taking in taxes, inflation rates, what stage of the business cycle we're at, how confident consumers are. A whole lot of impacts here under economic. Social, we're looking at income distribution. That could have something to do with tax rates. Demographics are an important one. Population growth. What's happening to our key market segments? Is the population within a market segment growing, remaining stable, or is it in decline? Lifestyle changes, education, fashion trends, all of these things have an impact on certain businesses. That will affect some businesses more than others. And technology, rate of technology transfer, new inventions and development, energy use and cost, changes in production technology, all of these things will have an impact on a business, whether they take advantages of new technological changes or not. Perhaps their competitors will get the jump on them. And we're not only looking at the different issues, but we're looking at the impact on business. So this table that you see in front of you is a pest analysis which has been expanded to the pestle, including legislation and environmental, and from the perspective of a healthcare company. Now you can see different political, economic, social, and technological issues being raised that have an impact on the healthcare industry, and those issues will have an impact on the business. So the idea of pest analysis, or the pestle in this case, is to brainstorm the issues and think about the impacts that they could possibly have on business. And once you can identify what impacts these external environmental factors have on business, then you can start planning to adapt to them. And we can see here we've got these new ones. Legislation will come under political factors in a normal pest analysis. And we want to know the impact on business as well. Not just to identify potential external factors, but the actual impact they will have on our particular business that we're analysing. The business cycle is an important one with economic factors. Over time, an economy tends to grow. So if we have a look at, we've got GDP in dollars, millions on the y-axis. And over time we can see that GDP tends to grow. There's a long-term trend of it growing, but it grows in waves. So there'll be times of booms, busts, times when the economy is growing faster, times when it's actually shrinking. And we need to identify the 4 stages: boom, recession, upturn and downturn. And we can see that at the top of the business cycle, we call that a boom. Recession we classify as 2 consecutive quarters of negative economic growth, where the economy, with GDP, is actually decreasing. An upturn is when we're coming out of a recession, things are picking up again, and a downturn when we're coming off the boom and economic growth is slowing. Now we need to evaluate the impact on a firm's objectives and strategy. Now this is key. How are any of these pest factors, these external environmental changes, going to impact on our objectives and our strategies? Let's have a look at a business, a rental car firm. And they've got an objective to increase market share. And they've identified the strategy they need to expand into overseas markets to achieve this objective. Now, if we have a change in an economic factor, For example, we've got Europe's debt crisis spinning out of control at the moment. What sort of external economic, how can this impact on a firm's objectives and strategy? What could the possible scenarios mean for the business? In this case, the low euro means it's cheaper to acquire other car rental firms. European debt crisis, the European exchange rate has been decreasing. The euro is cheaper. So if you are, say, a US car rental firm, it's going to be cheaper to buy these European car rental firms. And firms generally undervalued in terms of crisis. What action are we going to take? We're going to purchase promising French and Spanish rental car company as soon as possible, rather than establishing own brands from scratch. Another look at the impact of a pest factor on objectives and strategy. A power generation company. They want a better corporate image. This is their objective. The strategies: divest coal-fired plants and invest in renewable energy sources. We've got a change in the external environment, a political factor in this case. And governments have decided to subsidise solar energy. How is this going to impact on our firm's objectives and strategy? The subsidy means it's going to be cheaper to build and supply solar electricity, and relatively more expensive now to supply wind generated electricity. What are we going to do? We're going to sell additional coal-fired plants to finance the construction of new solar plants as soon as possible to take advantage of these government subsidies. Carrying out a pest analysis. 3 steps. Brainstorm. Brainstorming's not just for the classroom, for the business world as well. Brainstorm, getting people to throw down ideas of external factors likely to affect the business under each of our pest headings. Discuss which factors are likely to have the most impact and therefore on strategies. And summarise this information into a pest template to further the development of business.